Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Friday, the 22nd of April 2022. I'm Adam Lang, in the chair today for Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we'll bring you the 5 news items that happened today that you need to know about, so let's get cracking. Story number 1. The local stock market had a shocker today, with the S&P ASX 200 dropping 1.6% to 7,473 points. That's the worst single day for the local bourse since February. A lot of it is due to comments out of the US Federal Reserve overnight, but more on that in a moment. The impact on the market today was pretty widespread. In fact, the only sector to climb today was healthcare, led by CSL, which was up 1.4%, and Ramsay up another 1.7% following this week's $20 billion takeover bid by KKR. The materials sector was the biggest loser, with big miners BHP tumbling 4.4% and Rio Tinto dropping 2.4%. But the worst performer on the index today was tech company Megaport. It dropped another 9.7% today, the worst performer on the ASX 200 for 2 days in a row. Story number 2 is the reason for so much of the carnage on the ASX today. It's all about US Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell declaring a 0.5 percentage point interest rate hike will be considered next month in an effort to tackle rising inflation. He told an International Monetary Fund panel overnight that it is, quote, appropriate in my view to be moving a little more quickly, and then 50 basis points will be on the table for the May meeting, end of quote. The comments had an immediate impact on investor sentiment, both here and in the States. On Wall Street, the S&P 500 closed down 1.4%, the Dow Jones lost 1%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq ended 2% lower. Story number 3. With Labor leader Anthony Albanese forced into isolation after his positive COVID test last night, today saw Labor frontbenchers stepping up to continue the campaign in his absence. In fact, they're actually trying to turn it into a campaign feature, with Shadow Minister Jason Clare declaring voters will see a Labor team this week rather than a presidential style of campaigning. Shadow Foreign Minister Penny Wong told reporters in Perth that the onus is on China to restore the trade relationship with Australia by removing trade sanctions. Scott Morrison hit the campaign trail in Queensland, where he faced pressure to reveal what he knew about a security deal between China and the Solomon Islands and whether Australia could have done more to prevent it. Meanwhile, Australia has placed new sanctions on the daughters of Russian President Vladimir Putin and 144 Russian senators as the diplomatic and economic response to the war in Ukraine continues. Story number 4, and how about this for a fine? Hotel booking platform Trivago has been hit with a $44.7 million penalty for misrepresenting the price of hotel rooms. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission took action against Trivago, which is owned by global giant Expedia, alleging it had breached consumer law by claiming it would get users the best deal on room rates. Instead, Trivago was prioritising hotels that paid a higher advertising fee to the company. The federal court ruled it amounted to highly misleading conduct, finding the top position displayed on the Trivago website was more expensive in more than 2/3 of listings. Consumers ended up paying around $30 million more than if they'd accessed the cheapest offers. The company says it has now changed its website to comply with the court's decision, as well as an earlier judgment, and it looks forward to putting this behind it. And story number 5, Elon Musk says he's secured funding worth $46.5 billion in his quest to take over Twitter. Tesla's inimitable CEO is due to collect a very large bonus from that company's high performance, and that is expected to be more than enough to fund his own part of the Twitter bid with $21 billion of his own money. He will then add another $12.5 billion through a loan against his shares in Tesla. That takes his total stake of the bid to 33.5. US investment bank Morgan Stanley is then leading the funding for the remaining $13 billion to make up the total bid of $46.5 billion. Big numbers and one very big name leading the charge. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 22nd of April 2022. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Twitter and Facebook. Join Sean Aylmer and Michael Thompson tomorrow morning for the Weekend Fast Five by Fear and Greed. I'm Adam Lang. Enjoy your evening.